All right.
Okay.
Welcome in Antarctica.
Yeah, Clemens, tell me a little bit about where you are right now.
I'm currently on a scientific expedition in two roles, actually, as a camp and logistics manager, but also as a scientist. And I'm currently at Lake Untersee in Antarctica, which is 13,000 kilometers south of Innsbruck and about 2,000 kilometers away from the South Pole. And the most amazing part of this is that there's no research station. So most scientists go to Antarctic research stations, look around the stations, and that's it. But here, there's literally no station at all. So we go camping it's day 44 on the ice right now, and we are packing camp already. And it's a very unique place. And the reason why we don't stay at the station is that we are interested in this lake. I'm standing on 4 meters of lake ice right now. And beneath is a very unique microbial ecosystem, which you don't find anywhere in the world.
Well,
And that's
yeah,
what,
I'm used to everyone telling me there's no life but, a few penguins in Antarctica, but clearly there is life under the ice, microbial life. Why is it so interesting for us?
so this microbial life in this lake is so abundant, you can see it with your naked eyes. Basically, the whole floor, the bed of the lake is covered in microbial mats, we call it. And these microbial mats resemble structures we find as fossils in Canada, but also in Australia. And you can date them back to 3.5 billion years. So this early biosphere is still conserved in this lake, and that makes it so interesting to study it. The only barrier to study it is, as I mentioned before, the 4 meters of ice. So it's hard to get there and study it.
And you've
And
been
these microbes,
drilling.
they
Sorry,
we've been drilling, melting, and the expedition leader is also one of the most sophisticated ice divers, scientific divers in the world. So we actually drill a hole, melt a hole, which takes about 3, 4 days. So it's also a lot of energy that you need to get the hole big enough to get the diver inside. And you have to imagine we are kind of 40 days into the expedition until the diver gets into the water the first time. It's one of the most complex expeditions you can think of. And I think it's also noteworthy that this expedition is a private expedition. It's a privately funded expedition, and the logistics of this expedition are unmatched with any other private expeditions in Antarctica, as far as I know.
so why would someone spend so much time and so much money, so much energy to study these microbes? Tell me why they're important for our understanding of our world.
First of all, it's important to learn more about them for our world. You're right, but also for other planets. So this is a great site to study technology we can use to detect biosignatures in an extreme environment. And we also need to learn way more about this. It looks like a simple ecosystem, but it's a super complex ecosystem. There are so many major players in this ecosystem, from viruses, bacteria, so-called cyanobacteria. These are basically bacteria doing photosynthesis. And these bacteria were also responsible for the first mass extinction on our planet, because for the first time they produced oxygen and all other life forms just couldn't deal with it. So they have had a massive role in early life development and basically the Earth we experience right now. Without microbes, we wouldn't exist at all.
So it's important that you're studying the heritage of our planet, the things that are important for also other planets. But I guess whilst you're down there, you're noticing the local environment. Whenever a journalist speaks to a scientist in Antarctica, they have to ask, "What have you noticed about melt? About the climate? Have you noticed anything that worries you, reassures you?"
So I'm not a climate scientist per se. I'm a biologist. If I want to study melting glaciers, I would go to Western Antarctica. There are these famous glaciers that accelerate their speed, or their speed accelerates and cause rising oceans and so on. Here in East Antarctica, it's a quite different situation. However, this is my fifth season here at Lake Untersee. And this is the first time I'm here in January, February. Usually we are here in November, December. And for me, it's really important to, first of all, experience more of the season to understand processes that are going on. that happen eventually when I'm not here to observe them. And melt is actually a big deal. So this is the largest surface freshwater lake in Antarctica with a perennial ice cover. And if you increase the mean annual temperature by 1 degree, this lake ice would disappear in summer. And this microbial ecosystem down beneath me only exists because the ice cover persists. There's no exchange with the atmosphere. So it's basically sealed all year round. And as soon as you open the lake or the ice cover would melt, this ecosystem would vanish because of the special chemistry that takes place, all these geochemical cycles that take place. And as soon as you have this atmosphere, with this exchange with the atmosphere, this would alter or completely change or destroy this unique ecosystem. So also on the way out on the traverse, so we have skidoos, we have track vehicles. You see like these machines you use for grooming skiing slopes that pull this container, for example, with our equipment. And we have trucks that haul the gear out. And this season, we actually had big troubles because of melt. And we got stuck many, many times. So we got stuck in crevasses, but that's to be expected. But the melt, the slush, made it really, really hard to do the traverse, which is about 130 kilometers, and took us about 17 hours this time, just to reach an area where there's no human being, and you have to basically find a way to survive and actually thrive and do the science here.
So you're not an expert on climate science, but as a researcher visiting Antarctica, you are noticing that this is a fragile ecosystem that is changing as you visit from year to year.
Yes, definitely. Also, one of the biggest changes so far, I haven't witnessed it personally. Nobody was at this place because of it was the wrong time of the season. But behind me, there's another lake about 200 meters higher. And there was a glacial outburst event in 2019. So a piece of ice broke, which damped the lake, and it drained the lake basically. And then all the water went down to this lake where I'm standing right now and elevated it by 1 meter. And when you stand here, you feel so small and insignificant in this landscape. And it's really hard to believe anything is going to change or move with a lot of speed in a couple of days. So this made me really humble, and yeah, we humans are just visitors here. We have no business staying here in the long term, I guess. That's wild nature.
Now, Clement, I'm excited about the science. Part of me is just excited about your adventure too. I've been boasting to my little boy about a 5-day trip. I went camping in Lapland once. This is something on a new scale. 40 days in the unpopulated Antarctica region in camps. Right. Tell me a little bit about your daily life. How are you coping out there?
Daily life, it starts when we arrive here with all the equipment. We have to set up camp, which takes about a week, I would say. We are 6 people from Austria, Italy, Canada, and the US. There's so many components to it. It's the social component. Can you deal with these people you haven't met before for such a long time? And how can you make this expedition very efficient and keep it on a professional level at the same time? So how it works is we get up in the morning, we have 24 hours of sunlight. So you need to have a schedule because you could work day and night in theory. And if you stay for such a long period, you can't work through the nights. It's just not feasible. So we have breakfast at 8. We eat freeze-dried food like the astronauts do. We hydrate it with water. So we only boil water, basically. That's it. Then everybody goes out, does the field work they do. So we have people collecting air samples to understand what microbes are in the air and what they're also actively doing. And at the same time, we have geologists here. We look at the water, the lake. So we do limnology, freshwater science. And then at lunch, usually we meet together. Everybody has a radio, so we can keep in touch. We know the GPS locations of everybody. And then people usually go out again or process samples. So we have a dedicated laboratory tent to do sample processing. And then we have dinner at 6, and then we go to sleep at, 9, 10. And I sleep like a rock. I'm just done for the day. It's physically very demanding. Also, we had high winds. We had snowstorms. The highest wind gusts we had this season was 138 kilometers per hour. That's not when you usually go camping. And then you have to set science aside and make sure the camp doesn't fly away, that you don't lose gear, and make everybody feel safe. So there's so much more to it than just the science. And you don't read that in the scientific papers. It just says, we drilled a hole there, got samples there, went back to the lab. But what happened the other 40 days? And that makes it really exciting. We have skidoos. We use propane gas for heating. We do have solar panels, but that's not enough energy that we need. So we also have fossil fuels. And unfortunately, in Antarctica, the most reliant way to power devices is still fossil fuel. I even had a chat with Brino, which is one of the piston groomer companies, one of the bigger ones. They have an electrical piston groomer, for example, but it's just not, the technology is not there yet for Antarctic operations, unfortunately.
I think last time we spoke about how difficult it is sometimes to get science funded nowadays, and even national institutions, big institutions, not having, I guess, the resources to pay for the science that would benefit human knowledge. You've obviously found this expedition has been funded. Who are the backers who think, hey, do you know what? There's this microbial world out there. We need to know about it. I'm going to put lots of money in there. I mean, where do you get money for this sort of massive expedition from?
So I'm in a lucky position that I don't need to deal with that. I got invited to these expeditions all the time. So the money comes mostly from the US and from Canada, for example, from Tawani Foundations, which is a very big sponsor of this. And yeah, it's really hard to tell what's going on in the background, honestly, or I can't really tell everything, I guess. But if you do that as a science project, the normal way, I would say, as a scientist in Austria, there's no way you get funding for this, or it's so hard, you can't really do that. Additionally, keep in mind, my situation is quite different. I can't even do science at my home university anymore. So what I'm doing now is basically, I'm employed as a camps and logistics manager for the expedition. So not via any university, but directly through this expedition. And they value my experience. So I can also support the other scientists in the field. So I know both sides, the logistics and the science. So I can gap this bridge. And also back home, I like to communicate the science we do and also the logistics and the whole project that is going on with the general public. So I've done a lot of trips, a lot of school visits. I take people or groups on glaciers to explain them glacier ecosystems on site, just to give them a better awareness and understanding what's going on. And I think that's really important also for young people and kids to explain them more and tell them more and give them reliable information about our planet and about science, and translate that science into words that general public understands and then figures, oh, this is really important what we're doing. And I think my role right now is making this bridge to the general public later. Yeah.
I mean, that's a great duty to have, but I mean, it must be, it's a big effort, of course. What draws you back time and time again to the southern continent? What is it about this place that makes you prepared to deal with kind of 40 days of camping in difficult circumstances?
I get this question really often, and it's hard to explain. If you haven't experienced it yourself, I would say whenever I go back, one part of me stays in Antarctica. So something is missing, which makes you coming back. And it's really funny because you go through so many phases. It's cold, maybe you want to go home, maybe you don't feel so well. The next day, it's the greatest place on earth. It changes on a daily basis sometimes, but it's so addictive. It's really hard to put it in words. It's just standing in this environment right now makes me really humble, and I appreciate this environment. And I also know that not many people have the opportunity to do this. Even if you're a billionaire, it's not that easy to get to all these places. So I really appreciate doing my part for Antarctic science, which is one of the hardest things you can do in science, I guess.
Okay, final question, Clements. And my little boy will never forgive me if I don't ask it. But when we go camping in Europe, we think, okay, 5 days, 5 pairs of pants. I'll have a swim in the river to keep clean. I'll have my shower. How do you keep healthy and hygienic when you're out in such a cold environment where I guess you can't just go and have a shower or a swim, and I guess you haven't packed 45 pairs of pants.
That's right. Since you can see me on screen now, I will just kind of turn around the camera. Wait a second here. So we have a rule here. First of all, when it comes to dealing with fuel, we have this little spill berm. So if we mess around, everything stays contained. With our human waste, like urine, for example, we do the same. So we basically pee in bottles and then empty them in old drums and take them back with us. So everything that goes out from our bodies comes back with us, and we don't leave any traces in the area. And over there, the orange tent in the far back, that's our main toilet, and everything that's in there has to come back with us. Leave no trace. Just imagine there is another scientist showing up, and he samples or she samples snow and finds a lot of nutrients inside and can't explain it. And we try to avoid that, and also not to impact the very nutrient-starved environment here. So if we add nutrients, that would be a bad way or a bad thing to do.
Who drives the poo skidoo back?
Everything has to go back.
Whose job is it to drive the poo skidoo when you go back to base?
The poo will be on the sled on the back, not on the skidoo.
Okay.
That's for sure. And for the hygiene part, yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter if you're away for 5 days or 2 months. At one point, you reach the maximum of pants, underpants, socks, whatever. Every time when I prepare for the expedition, I get nervous. How many clothes should I really bring? How much backup do I want? I think the most important thing is to have backup for down jackets and outer shells to be protected from the environment.
Sunscreen.
I do have sunscreen is really important. The sun is really strong here. And for hygiene, we don't have a shower. So whenever I mention that in a school class, depending on age and gender, I guess, the kids react with, "Woo, that's disgusting," or there's no reaction at all, like it's completely normal.
Oh, great.
But for hygiene, we have kind of baby wipes, cleaning wipes, and at least I wipe me down on a daily basis to keep clean, but that's it. And we use merino wool underwear. It's less stinky than other clothes or textiles. That helps a lot. But I think we just got adjusted to our smell. So when we come back, we might know what's really going on.
Clements, thank you so much for spending time with us from Antarctica. This is very exciting. And good luck with the rest of the expedition. And
Thanks,
I hope
Chris.
it's all a big success.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Maybe if you have time, we can make this trip to Yamtar Glacier in Tirol.
That's where, yeah, I was going to say, yeah, Yamtal, that's the limit. I'm going. Oh, I have to ask one last thing. Untersee. Okay. It sounds very suspiciously like it could be Austrian. Why is it called Untersee?
Actually, that's another great fact about the lake. So, about the name, the Germans, or to be precise, the Nazis, discovered the area. So it was a mission to get food like whales, hunt whales, and so on by Goering. And it was disguised as a get food expedition, but the real purpose of it was fly with Lufthansa planes at that time, fly around, take pictures of the area, make maps, and after the wars, claim the territory. That was the goal. And that's why it's called Untersee, because, as I mentioned before, there's the Obersee, a little bit higher up. So these lakes are known since 1938. The first humans on this site showed up in 1969, in the year of the moon landing. However, more people were walking on the moon than diving in this lake. It's so remote, it's just really hard to get there.
Wow. Clemens, it's been wonderful speaking to you, and have a safe rest of the expedition.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
speak to you again. Thank you very much.
Cool.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye. Ciao.
Greetings to home. Bye. Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao.